Stop and look at your life for a second. How much of your day is spent being drained by things that are completely outside of your control? Someone cuts you off in traffic, and your blood boils. A coworker says something passive-aggressive, and you spend the next 3 hours replaying it in your head. A partner, a family member, or even a random stranger on the internet says something that triggers a storm inside you. You feel that heat rising in your chest, that desperate urge to defend yourself, to lash out, to fix the world, or to collapse under the weight of it all. You think you are reacting to the world, but the truth is far more brutal. You are being enslaved by it. Every time you allow your internal peace to be shattered by an external event, you hand over your power to someone else. You become a puppet, and they pull the strings. The Stoics lived in a world far more dangerous and volatile than ours, yet they maintained a level of calm that seems superhuman to us today. It wasn't magic. It was a series of deliberate, daily habits that created a wall around their minds. Today, you are going to learn those 6 habits. If you are tired of being a slave to your own emotions and ready to become untouchable, type "I choose sovereignty" in the comments right now. Let's begin. Topic 1. The habit of the strategic pause, 500 palavras. The first habit is the most powerful weapon in your arsenal, yet it costs absolutely nothing to implement. The habit of the strategic pause. Most people live their lives in a state of immediate, impulsive reaction. Someone says something, and before the sound has even finished echoing in the room, they have already formulated a defensive comeback. They are like a spring under constant tension, ready to snap at the slightest touch. This isn't strength. It is a lack of self-regulation. When you react immediately, you are operating from your most primitive emotional brain. You are bypassing your logic, your wisdom, and your values. You are letting the other person dictate the tempo of your life. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, understood that between the stimulus, the event that triggers you, and your response, there is a space. In that space lies your freedom. The habit of the strategic pause is the act of intentionally widening that gap. When someone insults you, do not answer for 5 seconds. When you receive a frustrating email, do not reply immediately. Close your laptop, walk away, drink a glass of water, and breathe. Why is this so effective? Because it breaks the cycle of emotional contagion. If you react, you are participating in their chaos. If you pause, you are forcing them to wait on your terms. You are signaling to yourself and to the world that you are the master of your own internal environment. You stop being a responder and become an observer. In this pause, you gain the clarity to ask, is this event actually worth my emotional energy? Usually the answer is a resounding no. Most of the things that bother us are trivial. By pausing, you deflate the urgency that the other person is trying to project onto you. You reclaim your sovereignty. You start to notice that most of the people who try to provoke you are just looking for a reaction to confirm their own importance. When you don't give it to them, you become invisible to their games. You aren't playing, and that is the ultimate power move. Start practicing this today. In every interaction, force yourself to count to 3 before you utter a single word. You will notice that by the time you reach 3, the need to lash out, to defend, or to argue has often vanished completely. The anger dissipates because it was never rooted in reality. It was rooted in a momentary, volatile surge. By controlling your reaction, you control the outcome. And by controlling the outcome, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming the architect of your own peace. This is the first step toward the immunity you seek. Most people spend their lives reacting. Few learn the power of remaining calm, silent, and in control. If something in today's message resonated deeply with you, it's because a stronger version of yourself is trying to emerge. Thousands have already discovered the principles inside the silent power. and many say they wish they had learned them years earlier. Plus 5. Exclusive bonuses. The Silent Power reveals timeless Stoic lessons for mastering emotions, building unshakable confidence, commanding respect without speaking, and developing the mental strength that cannot be broken by criticism, rejection, or adversity. The question is simple: will you continue reacting to life, or start mastering it? Get instant access through the first pinned comment and begin your journey toward true self-mastery today. The second habit is something the modern world will tell you is insanity: the habit of voluntary discomfort. We live in an era obsessed with comfort. We want the perfect temperature, the fastest internet, the most convenient food, and the least amount of friction in our daily lives. We have become soft. And because we are soft, we are fragile. When life inevitably hits us with a crisis, a loss, or a challenge, we shatter. We get angry because our expectation of ease has been violated. Stoicism teaches us that your level of comfort is directly proportional to your level of weakness. If you cannot handle a little bit of cold, a little bit of hunger, or a little bit of inconvenience, you are a slave to your environment. To break this, you must introduce voluntary discomfort into your life. This isn't about masochism, it's about immunization. When you voluntarily choose to do something difficult, like taking a cold shower, fasting, or waking up before the sun, you are training your nervous system to remain calm under stress. You are showing your brain that discomfort is not danger. Most of your anger comes from the false belief that you deserve a life without problems. You think, I shouldn't have to deal with this. But the universe does not care about what you think you deserve. When you practice voluntary discomfort, you strip away the entitlement that fuels your rage. You realize that you can survive and even thrive in less than ideal conditions. Then, when someone insults you or a situation goes wrong, you don't panic. You don't get angry, because you have already tested yourself against smaller, controlled adversities. You've hardened your resolve. You become like a rock in a storm. The waves crash against you, but you do not move. Start today. Skip a meal, turn the thermostat down, take the stairs instead of the elevator. Do these small things not because you have to, but because you choose to. This simple habit changes your relationship with the world. Instead of fearing difficulty, you start to welcome it as a training ground. You stop being a person who hides from life's edges and become someone who walks straight through them with steady eyes. The person who is truly untouchable is the one who has made friends with their own discomfort. When you don't fear being uncomfortable, nobody can manipulate you with the threat of loss or inconvenience. You are free. The third habit that will make you untouchable is the practice of radical self-accountability. We live in a culture of blame. When things go wrong, the immediate instinct is to look outward, to blame the economy, the government, your boss, your spouse, or your childhood. It is a comforting lie, isn't it? It allows you to feel like a victim, and victims don't have to change. If the problem is out there, then your hands are clean. But this is the exact moment you lose your power. The moment you blame someone else for your emotional state or your life circumstances, you hand them the keys to your prison. You are telling yourself, I am powerless, and they are in control. Stoicism is the philosophy of radical responsibility. Epictetus, who spent his life in chains, taught that even a slave could be freer than a king if he controlled his own mind. He didn't blame his masters for his condition. He focused on what remained his character, his judgment, and his resolve. You must adopt this same mindset. If you are angry, it is not because someone insulted you, it is because you chose to accept the insult. If you are bothered, it is not because someone was loud or annoying. It is because you chose to let their behavior disrupt your internal order. This is a hard truth, and most people will reject it because it hurts their ego. But if you want to be free, you must swallow this pill. When you adopt radical self-accountability, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "How am I responding to this?" You stop waiting for others to change, to apologize, or to act right. You accept that people will be people. They will be selfish, they will be ignorant, and they will be loud. But their ignorance is their problem, not yours. Your problem is your reaction. When you hold yourself accountable, you stop looking for excuses. You realize that every emotion you feel is a result of your own interpretation of events. This habit creates a wall of steel around your mind. If you are responsible for your own happiness, then no one can take it away from you. If someone tries to provoke you, you simply look at them as a storm passing in the distance. You remain unmoved because your foundation is built on your own self-mastery, not on the whims of others. You become the captain of your soul. You stop feeling bothered because you know that nothing outside of you has the power to define you unless you grant it permission. Start today. The next time you feel that surge of anger or irritation, stop. Own it. Say to yourself, "I am doing this to myself. I am choosing to be upset." This simple admission shatters the illusion of external control and puts the power back where it belongs, in your hands. You will no longer be a leaf in the wind. You will be the wind itself. The fourth habit, and perhaps the most difficult to master, is the habit of total emotional detachment. Not from life, but from the outcomes of your actions and the opinions of others. People often confuse detachment with indifference, thinking it means not caring at all. This is a fatal misunderstanding. Indifference is lazy, detachment is strategic. To be detached in the Stoic sense is to perform your duty with excellence, while accepting that you have no control over how the world receives it. Most of your daily suffering comes from outcome dependency. You do something and you immediately obsess over the result. You send a message and you wait for the reply. You work on a project and you look for praise. When the result isn't what you expected, you collapse. You feel angry, rejected, or betrayed. But consider the archer. The archer focuses on his aim, his posture, and the tension of the bowstring. He releases the arrow with precision and grace. Once the arrow leaves the bow, it is no longer his concern. Whether it hits the target or is blown off course by a gust of wind is a matter for the elements, not for the archer. If you want to be untouchable, you must become this archer. You focus entirely on the quality of your effort that is within your power. You detach yourself from the outcome that is outside your power. When you stop demanding that the world reward you, you stop being a slave to its feedback loop. This habit eliminates anger because anger is almost always a reaction to a failed expectation. You expected someone to be loyal, and they weren't. You expected your effort to be recognized, and it was ignored. When you detach from the outcome, you kill the root of the anger. You act because it is the right thing to do, not because you are bargaining for a specific result. This gives you an incredible sense of inner peace. You are no longer agitated by the instability of the world. If you succeed, you are grateful but not arrogant. If you fail, you are disappointed but not destroyed. You simply recalibrate and aim again. Furthermore, this detachment extends to the opinions of others. Why should their judgment bother you? If they are wise, their critique might be useful. If they are fools, their opinion is irrelevant. In either case, your worth remains untouched. When you master this, you become a person of profound stability. You are not swayed by applause and you are not deterred by criticism. You are guided by an internal compass that points only toward your own virtue. This is the ultimate form of protection. You become untouchable because you have surrendered your need to be right or validated in the eyes of the world. You move forward with a quiet, steady confidence that baffles those who are still caught in the frantic race for approval. This is how you reclaim your power from the jaws of chaos. Most people spend their lives reacting. Few learn the power of remaining calm, silent, and in control. If something in today's message resonated deeply with you, it's because a stronger version of yourself is trying to emerge. Thousands have already discovered the principles inside the silent power, and many say they wish they had learned them years earlier. Plus 5 exclusive bonuses. The silent power reveals timeless Stoic lessons for mastering emotions, building unshakable confidence, commanding respect without speaking, and developing the mental strength that cannot be broken by criticism, rejection, or adversity. The question is simple: will you continue reacting to life, or start mastering it? Get instant access through the first pinned comment and begin your journey toward true self-mastery today. Continuing with your mission, here is Topic 5, delivered with the urgent, authoritative, and prophetic tone of a mentor who demands growth from his students. Topic 05, the habit of Memento Mori as a filter, 500 palavras. The fifth habit is the most sobering yet the most liberating practice in the Stoic tradition, Memento Mori, the conscious remembrance of your own mortality. Most people live as if they have an infinite amount of time. They procrastinate, they hold grudges, they waste their energy on petty conflicts, and they postpone their true work, all under the false assumption that there will be a later. This delusion is the greatest thief of your potential. When you forget that your time is finite, you treat your energy as a cheap commodity. You squander it on people who do not matter and problems that will be forgotten by next week. You allow your peace to be broken because you think you have time to fix it later. Stoicism demands that you bring the reality of death into your daily consciousness, not to be morbid, but to be efficient. When you truly accept that your time is limited, your priorities shift instantly. You stop being bothered by the trivial opinions of others because you realize that in the grand timeline of the universe, those opinions and the people who hold them are merely passing shadows. You stop reacting with anger to minor inconveniences because you realize that your heartbeats are numbered, and you have no desire to waste a single one on someone who is trying to drag you into their own misery. The habit of Memento Mori acts as a high-speed filter for your life. Ask yourself in every moment of frustration, is this worth my last hour on earth? When you are lying on your deathbed, will you care that someone cut you off in traffic? Will you care about that passive-aggressive comment from a coworker? Will you care that someone didn't validate your success? The answer is always no. This realization provides an immediate, cold, and grounding perspective. It strips away the ego's demand for justice or revenge. By practicing this, you transform from a reactive creature of impulse into a deliberate master of your fate. You start to allocate your focus only to the things that align with your highest values. You stop trying to appease the world because you realize the world is not your judge. Your own character is. When you live with the constant awareness of your own end, you no longer have the luxury of being small. You no longer have the time to be petty, jealous, or vengeful. You are forced to be great. You are forced to be present. You are forced to be sovereign. This is the secret that those who seem unshakable possess. They know they are dying, and because they know this, they refuse to die 1,000 small deaths every day through anger and emotional volatility. They choose to live. They choose to focus. They choose to be free. When you stop fearing death, you stop fearing life's pressures. You stop being bothered by the storms because you know the storm is only temporary, and so are you. This is the ultimate, non-negotiable reality check. Stop living like you'll be here forever, and start acting like the sovereign ruler of your own remaining time. As requested, here is Topic 6. I am maintaining the authoritative, prophetic, and urgent tone you require. Topic 06. The habit of ruthless environmental filtering, 500 palavras. The sixth habit that completes your transformation into an untouchable force is the habit of ruthless environmental filtering. Most people suffer because they are like open vessels. They let everything into their minds. They consume the news, they absorb the drama of their peers, they allow toxic opinions to permeate their digital spaces, and then they wonder why they feel agitated, angry, or anxious. You cannot maintain a garden if you allow weeds to grow unchecked. If you want to be unbothered by anyone or anything, you must first curate the environment in which your mind lives. You are not a victim of your surroundings. You are the gatekeeper of your consciousness. Stoicism is not just about internal discipline, it is about external boundaries. Seneca once advised, associate with people who are likely to improve you. This is not just a suggestion, it is a necessity for your mental sovereignty. Look at your life right now. Who are the people who constantly bring chaos to your doorstep? What kind of content do you consume that leaves you feeling drained or angry? What information are you allowing to occupy your headspace? If you are constantly exposed to noise, you will become the noise. You must become ruthless in cutting off the sources of agitation. This means unfollowing accounts that trigger unnecessary anger. It means distancing yourself from people whose primary hobby is drama or complaining. It means curating your digital feed so that it feeds your growth instead of feeding your insecurity. When you realize that your mental bandwidth is the most valuable resource you possess, you stop wasting it on garbage. Most people don't do this because they are afraid of missing out or afraid of being seen as antisocial. But ask yourself, is the fear of someone's temporary judgment worth the permanent loss of your inner peace? Of course not. Ruthless filtering is the act of protecting your territory. When you control your environment, you control your triggers. If you aren't constantly staring at the chaos of the world, you won't be constantly tempted to react to it. You create a sanctuary within your own life. This is not about burying your head in the sand. It is about choosing where to focus your energy. You choose to read wisdom instead of clickbait. You choose to engage with people who have goals, not grievances. You choose to spend your time in environments that reflect the person you are becoming, not the person you are trying to leave behind. When you build this barrier, you become untouchable. The drama of others continues, but it no longer reaches you. The anger of the crowd persists, but it no longer finds a home in your heart. You have filtered it out at the gate. By taking control of what you allow into your mind, you stop the world from polluting your spirit. This is the final layer of your armor. It is quiet, it is firm, and it is entirely within your control. You are the architect of your reality. Start tearing down the walls that don't belong and building the ones that keep you strong. The seventh and final habit is the culmination of everything we have discussed. The cultivation of unshakable internal sovereignty. Sovereignty is not a title, it is the ultimate state of mental independence. It is the realization that your internal world is your private kingdom, and you are the only one with the keys to the gate. Most people live in a state of mental tenancy. They allow every passing thought, every piece of bad news, and every rude comment from a stranger to move into their minds and occupy their space. They are like houses with the doors wide open, allowing the wind, the rain, and the thieves to walk in and out as they please. You cannot be unbothered if you are not protecting the borders of your mind. Sovereignty requires you to install a mental gatekeeper. Every piece of information, every emotion, and every external opinion must pass through the inspection of your reason before you allow it to affect your state of being. You must ask, is this true? Is this useful? Does this align with the person I am becoming? If the answer is no, you bar the gate. You do not invite negativity to dinner. You do not host a banquet for anxiety. You treat your mind as a sacred space that is reserved for your own growth and the pursuit of your highest purpose. When you possess sovereignty, you stop seeking the world's permission to be happy, to be calm, or to be successful. You realize that the approval you have been chasing your entire life is just a mirage. It shifts every time the wind blows. By building your internal sovereignty, you shift your reference point from the outside to the inside. You no longer care if you are liked. You only care if you are worthy of your own respect. This is the death of external manipulation. When you are truly sovereign, no one can blackmail you with a harsh word, and no one can bribe you with cheap praise. You have already determined your value. This sovereignty is what makes you untouchable. It is the quiet, immovable confidence of the person who knows who they are, where they are going, and why they are doing it. You become a leader of your own life, not by commanding others, but by commanding yourself. You stop being a spectator of your own existence, watching as life happens to you, and you become the director. You start living with a level of intensity and clarity that is rare in a world of distraction. You stop worrying about what you cannot control because your energy is fully invested in the only thing that matters: your own character. Commit to this. Protect your inner kingdom with the same ferocity you would protect your own home. Do not let the world's chaos spill over into your life. Stand guard at the door of your thoughts. Once you master this final habit, you will find that the anger, the bother, and the noise that used to define your life simply cease to exist. They cannot survive in the presence of a mind that is truly, deeply, and unshakably sovereign. This is the destination of your journey. You are no longer just a person living in the world. You are the ruler of your own mind. Most people spend their lives reacting. Few learn the power of remaining calm, silent, and in control. If something in today's message resonated deeply with you, it's because a stronger version of yourself is trying to emerge. Thousands have already discovered the principles inside the silent power, and many say they wish they had learned them years earlier. Plus 5 exclusive bonuses. The silent power reveals timeless Stoic lessons for mastering emotions, building unshakable confidence, commanding respect without speaking, and developing the mental strength that cannot be broken by criticism, rejection, or adversity. The question is simple: will you continue reacting to life, or start mastering it? Get instant access through the first pinned comment and begin your journey toward true self-mastery today.